Hello, welcome to my second developer diary, and today I'm going to talk about anxiety. So, I made a video, haven't even uploaded it to the web, and already I'm obsessing over it. I'm feeling really anxious. I'm asking myself, like, was I informative enough? I said, a couple times. I said exciting instead of excited. And I just feel like, am I doing the subject justice? Is this something that will interest people? I just have so many questions and so much anxiety over this first video that no one has even seen. It's just sitting on my computer. And I think this somewhat illustrates what my life is like. I mean, not just game development, but everyday life. It doesn't matter what it is, I can obsess over it. And this is a reason why I've shied away from doing developer diaries and blog updates and stuff in the past, is just because I spend so much time editing them. I edit them and add more stuff and rephrase things and change the wording, and then usually I end up with these novel-length blog posts which no one wants to read through, with all these different information I added as I was trying to refine my thought. And I mean, that's exactly what I don't want to do with these developer diaries. I want to do things that, just tell people how I feel and not stress over it, but already no one's seen it and I'm stressed over it. And I have all these obsessive thoughts about, will people like it? Am I doing the wrong thing? Do I need to redo it? And I think that sort of illustrates this concept. I don't really know if it's something other people with obsessive compulsive disorder have, or if it's just sort of my own thing, but the way I think, which of course is difficult to describe your own intellectual thought process, but the way I see it is I have like two cores, to use an analogy from computers. Basically, it's one computer chip, one mind, but I always have two things that I'm thinking about. So usually one of them is the task at hand, the basics, what I'm doing, and whatever, driving, typing, talking. But the other one is sort of this constantly analyzing, constantly critiquing, constantly obsessing thought process that always runs in parallel to my regular thoughts, whatever I'm doing. And so I always, almost always, have this other sort of thought process that's saying, oh, you should be worried about this, or oh, you're doing this wrong, or this is bad. And certainly in my worst moments of dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder, it was thoughts about how terrible I was. And then as things got even worse, the second track my mind was always thinking about was hurting myself, and hurting myself in very graphic and disturbing ways. And my second track of my mind was always coming up with these new and awful ways to upset myself, and so it was very difficult to deal with. And to some extent I sort of got the content of the second thoughts under control with exposure response therapy, which I found utterly life-changing. I didn't want to live. At my worst, I didn't want to live at all. But exposure response therapy really helped me get those thoughts under control. But now I still have that second track of my mind that's worrying and obsessing, and it's tough. I think it's what causes my insomnia, which I have had terrible insomnia for, I don't know, 9-10 years. I I can't sleep without medicine, and I go to bed and I constantly think about it. I'm worried about the game. I'm worried about uh, putting bread on the table, making a living. I'm worried that I'm not doing the right thing with my life, and basically I go through life and I constantly have all these worries and all these other thoughts, and it's tough because I can be going to a concert I like or something, and I'm really enjoying the music, but then I don't even think about the music because this sort of other track takes over, and so I'm constantly thinking about oh, what I have to do when I get home, or what I tell my wife about the concert, or what I think about the concert, and then that reminds me of something else. And so it's very rare that my other thoughts take over, that, the thing that I'm actually doing takes over. So one of the things I like about programming is that it's so processor intensive, so to speak. It requires so much thought and focus and concentration that sometimes, not even that often, I'm able to just concentrate on programming, and it's an amazing feeling. It's really great to be sort of liberated from these obsessions that I really don't know how to avoid. And I mean, certainly working on them with therapy, and been talking to my psychiatrist about mindfulness and trying to take control of my mind. But although my life has gotten a lot better, from when I was at my lowest point, I haven't been freed of this, and even more so, I'm even a little scared of what life might be like without them. I mean, I don't know if I would even know myself, if I would recognize myself, if I would like myself, and certainly to some extent, I took some antidepressants a while back, and they had a lot of emotional numbing, and basically that was sort of completely gone, but I felt like my thoughts were completely gone. Like, if I, was just sitting there doing nothing, I was just thinking about nothing. And honestly, it was terrifying. I was very upset, and I ended up getting off that medication because I was so worried that I basically lost myself. And so I actually shied off antidepressants for not that long, a couple of years, until things got, to the point where I was really, hated my life and didn't want to live, and then I figured, what the hell, and so I did find a different antidepressant that helped me get through a difficult time, and I'm actually off antidepressants now, which feels good. So I guess it doesn't feel super great because I'm sitting here obsessing over a developer diary that no one's seen, and worried that people won't like it. So I don't even know if this has anything to do with game development, but I guess this is just how hard it is for me to live, to do anything. And so the game development is an extension of that, and it's definitely difficult. So I figured that if I'm being completely honest, I might as well give you the full picture, the full insight into what I deal with, and what I sort of have to overcome. And I had an interesting conversation about, whether this actually helps me as a game developer, and with some other developers after I gave my GDC talk. And I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'd like to say, my first reaction was almost insulted, like, this is so painful for me, how could this possibly be good in any way? But, maybe there's some element to truth to it. Maybe I would be different as a game developer, or different as a person without this, and that thought is kind of terrifying in its own right. So certainly I have no answers, but I think I've rambled on for long enough, so I guess this is what happens when you are completely honest in your developer diary. So thank you for watching, and hopefully the next one will be a little more upbeat.